Hello, Internet family. My name is Dr. Daniel Emina. I'm a child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist over at the Emina clinics in Costa Mesa, California. Today, I'd like to talk to you all about finding a reason to live. The COVID-19 pandemic has had an impact on our way of life, our healthcare system, our economy, and our mental health. In particular, we fear getting COVID-19 or someone we love getting it. We're worried about our finances, our economy. We're lonely. We're grieving the loss of our way of life. We're worried, is this the new normal? We're struggling with the loss of our natural coping strategies such as social interactions, physical activity, normal sleep patterns, our creative outlets. We're relying on bad habits like drinking more. We lost our boundaries with work. We have more time in unhealthy relationships, and unfortunately for some, more exposure to trauma. 1 in 5 of us already had a mental health diagnosis prior to COVID-19, and COVID-19 is only likely to increase the prevalence in those who were susceptible and even for those who were doing well prior. This is not normal life. What's even more concerning is the rise in suicidal thoughts and suicidal behavior. For those who battle with suicidal thoughts, COVID was unlikely the first trigger, but it is a new trigger. There are also those with new onset suicidal thoughts. This is evident by recent articles discussing the increase in calls to suicide prevention and disaster distress hotlines. So what do we do? I recently had a conversation with a client of mine named Zach, and he had some thoughts that he actually wanted me to share with you all. Here's a quote from Zach. As someone who dealt with intermittent suicidal ideations for roughly 20 years, one of the most powerful words for me was the word survivor. There were days I had to tell myself, if I get through the day and don't take my life, then that is a victory. If I don't go buy that gun, if I don't use that knife, if I don't jerk the steering wheel into oncoming traffic, if I don't hang myself, if I don't put that hose in my car, if I don't go into the garage and start the car, if I don't jump off the cliff or overpass, if I don't swallow all those pills, then that is a victory. I felt like I am a survivor and I'm going to one day tell people how I survived, what I survived, and what I endured. The idea that this suffering was not for naught helped me. Zach continues, I became a student of suffering. I studied and read a lot about it. I hope to eventually use this season of suffering to try to help others. I wanted to become a wounded healer. It was a reason to not punch out. Wow. For someone who may have never dealt with suicidal thinking, Zach's experience may seem foreign, but for those who have, these words may sound all too familiar. Interestingly enough, Zach is now working in the social workspace and is actually supporting people who in some ways have been impacted by COVID-19. So why do some people have suicidal thoughts? Suicidal thoughts are a culmination of your risk factors, your experiences, your prior mental health diagnoses, your brain health function, your health conditions, your genetics, your use of substances, your style of thinking, a phenomenon called contagion, and your current stressors. Managing them fully and finding a reason to live is an intentional process. Work with a professional to help you with this. If you're currently battling with suicidal thoughts, please seek help. I am not a mechanic, a contractor, a financial planner, or even a surgeon. At best, I'm a neuropsychiatrist. If I needed help in an area that was not my specialty, I would need to seek it. Just because it is your body and your brain does not mean you're going to know how to heal it. It is okay to ask for help. Zach continues, talk therapy was extremely helpful. It was so key for me to bring harmful thoughts from the dark into the light. I journeyed with one psychologist for over 10 years. In my last session with him, I gave him a single match with a book of matches and shook his hand and vowed to never extinguish my flame. It was a symbolic gesture. I wanted that transaction ingrained in my memory. I didn't ever want to break that promise. Thankfully, the medication alleviated the suicidal ideation substantially. Now, if I ever have suicidal thoughts, I am able to dismiss them quickly. Some tools to consider. Some things that Zach himself actually used. Zach mentioned that he used phone as a weapon. He would reach out, connect, ask for help in the midst of suicidal thinking. He learned to use less stigmatizing language for him, such as I'm battling or I'm dealing with hurtful thoughts versus just coming out and saying I'm feeling suicidal. He used a pen and a pad to journal, to write his prayers and his thoughts. He found sayings or mantras or scriptures that spoke to him. Some examples are, I am a survivor, I'm an overcomer, survival is victory. Reminds us all to connect with those you love, your family, your friends. to reconnect with your therapist, and this time don't hold back, to find meaning in your suffering, your survival, your purpose. Remember, this is an intentional task to find what you are here for. Eventually, you will develop your self-care toolkit, your formula for your battle. It will get better, no matter how bad it feels right now. Please remember your value is inherent and measured in the entirety of your existence and experience, not in your past trauma or your failings or even the challenges of this present moment. Don't cut your story short. If you need help, reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 800-273-TALK, 800-273-8255, or the Disaster Distress Helpline, or the Emina Clinics. Our contact info is below. Get creative. Work on a project. Find something you can control. Learn to cook. Cook healthier. Connect via apps like FaceTime, Skype, Zoom. Do a shared movie night with a Facebook watch party or Netflix party. Use wellness apps such as Balance, Headspace, Calm, Dailyo, Senvello, Superbetter, Happify, Talkspace. Unplug from technology and news from time to time. Get outside. Maintain that appropriate physical distance, but get physical activity. Avoid those substances of abuse. They actually make things worse in the long run. Even sugar can actually make you a little bit more down in the long run. Again, all, thank you so much for listening. Please comment below on what you're doing to stay healthy and how you're supporting others. We are in this together. Thank you.